a certain client who had posted various anti-government posts on social media. I asked him, Philly, do you really defend all this that he is saying? And he, in his usual manner, cool and collected, he chuckled and said, Phil, let me clarify. I am not defending what he said. That is secondary. I am defending his right to say what he said. And that is enshrined in the Constitution of our beautiful country. And he repeated that to me. Remember, I am not defending what he said. I am defending his right to say what he said. And that's the big difference. Thank you so much to everyone who knew him, who loved him. Our hearts go to Vilu dear and Elchi, Sia, Vinaifa. God bless you, and thank you so much. Thank you, Farid.
Good afternoon, dear friends. I feel extremely privileged to be here and say a few words about our dear Phil. Phil Nowrojee had many things to say, and he said them with an eloquence that was exceptional. Whether in the courts of law, addressing a judge, or teaching a class at the Kenyans School of Law, his words were uttered with a clarity of thought. Tributes have poured in from all over the world, reminding us of Pheroze's total dedication to the rule of law, his defense of Kenya's constitution, and his advocacy for good governance. However, I would like to speak today about some other admirable qualities that Pheroze Nowrojee had. Pheroze was thoughtful and kind. He never forgot a birthday in the family. He always found time to call or send a gift. That was Pheroze. Pheroze had a passion for Western classical music and Indian classical music. His most endearing quality for me was his adventurous spirit. His Vespa scooter carried him on many mini safaris to Nakuru, Menengai, Nyeri, Fort Hall, which is now Mranga. But the most memorable trip we made was when Pheroze and I rode his scooter to Mombasa in 1958. At that time, the road to Mombasa knew no tarmac. It was one long, soul-shattering stretch of corrugations, stones, and loose earth. We left Nairobi at 12 noon on a Saturday morning and crossed the Makupa Causeway at 5 in the morning on the following day. Took us 17 hours to get there. This was a true adventure. We were battered by stones thrown at us by overtaking vehicles. When we got to Bakuma Gate, the scooter sank into a ditch. The engine stopped, and in the sudden silence, we saw elephants only a few feet away from us. The elephants were shaking their heads in disbelief and disapproval of the two interlopers who disturbed the peace and tranquility of a Savo night. Getting the scooter out of the ditch and onto the road again was quite exciting. Worried that the elephants would come after us, we pushed and pulled and nearly fell over each other in our excitement to get away. But the elephants didn't bother us. Later on, as we got close to Mackinnon Road, we ran out of fuel and walked a few miles pushing the scooter as it got heavier and heavier until a very kind motorist brought us a can of petrol, which then took us into Mombasa without any further incidents. Now, when the time came for Pheroze to travel to England, when the time came for Pheroze to travel to England for his law studies, he did not take the usual steamer from Mombasa, nor did he fly there on Imperial Airways. Pheroze made the trip overland. He left Nairobi on a rattling lorry to Juba, when no proper roads existed, and then boarded a Nile steamer and sailed all the way to the northernmost tip of Africa, before continuing his overland journey to London. That was his spirit of adventure. These are some of the very happy memories I have of Pheroze. Hashem Vohu, to be repeated 3 times. If anyone knows this prayer, please join me. Hashem Vohu, Vahishtamasti, Ushtaasti, Ushtamai, Yadashai, Vahistai Hashem. Hashem Vohu, Vahishtamasti, Ushtaasti, Ushtahamai, Yadashai, Vahistai Hashem. Hashem Vohu, Vahishtamasti, Ushtaasti, Ushtahamai, Yadashai, Vahistai Hashem. Dear small Phil, rest in peace. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Pheroze and Adi, so much, Big Phil. I just have to ask one question about that motorcycle trip. Were you friends or did you hate each other after that journey? Were you friends or did you hate each other after that journey?
We couldn't stop laughing at our stupidity, at our lack of planning. We felt really foolhardy to venture into such a thing. But laughter was overriding all our problems.
Another big round of applause for these two wonderful gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. We will ask our friends to help them off the stage, but before that, we would turn your attention to the screens as we look at a wonderful tribute video that's been put together.
Fighting for civil liberties when it was neither safe nor popular. He served with integrity as an advisor, commissioner, ambassador, and advocate, and always.
Let us remember. May we remember to remember. May we remember not to forget. Let us remember those dismembered. Let us remember not to forget. Let us remember the great Mekatilili wa Menza, queen from Giriama land. She who was stolen by the colonial terrorists and taken all the way to Gusii land. She broke the chains and walked back all the way to Malindi to continue with the liberation of our people. May we remember not to forget Wayakiwahinga, him who was kidnapped and taken all the way to Kibwezi. They buried him alive. Let us remember Koitalel Arap Samoei, him who is not related to the bad boy Kasongo. Let us remember to remember. May we remember not to forget. Let us remember those who were dismembered. May we remember not to forget. Let us remember Pheroze Nowrojee. Remember not to forget. Let us remember to remember the Gen Z revolution. Let us remember not to forget Rex Masai, the first Gen Z soldier to be fell down. May we remember that Ruto must go. I will ask us all to stand up so that we sing the anthem of the struggle together. Kupigwa na kupokonywa maisha hakutatuzuia sisi wananchi kunyakua uhuru wetu na haki ya jasho letu na haki ya jasho letu. Tumekataa kupiga magoti mbele ya hawa wauaji. Bila shaka sisi pia ni watu, hali ya utumwa tumeikata. Hali ya utumwa tumeikata. Tutanyakuwa mashamba yetu, tupiganie uhuru wetu, tuikomboe elimu yetu, utamaduni na viwanda vyetu. Komboe utamaduni na viwanda vyetu. Sisi hatutaki kudhulumiwa, hatutaki tena mauaji. Ili kupe tuliangushe, haki na uhuru zichanue. Haki na uhuru zichanue na haki Wakenya na haki zetu Wakenya tupiganie na haki zetu Wakenya na haki zetu Wakenya tupiganie katiba yetu Wakenya katiba yetu Wakenya tutekeleze. Ole yo ni shujaa Pheroze we, ni shujaa Pheroze baba, ni shujaa Pheroze we, ni shujaa Pheroze wetu, ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa, ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa. Comrade Pheroze, lovely comrade, here you are. from home. Yes, we love you, still we need you for the things you've done for us. Pheroze Nowrojee,
having comrade.
here we are, far away from home. Yes, we love you, still we need you for the things you've done for us. Tutasonga kwa siasa nzuri, tukomboe Afrika na wananchi wote. Tutasonga kwa siasa nzuri, tukomboe Afrika na wananchi wote. Haya sugoi tuingie kwa siasa nzuri, kwa siasa nzuri.
Hey!
Tutasonga kwa siasa nzuri, tukomboe Afrika na wananchi wote. Oh, tutasonga.
Pheroze Nowrojee, Senior Counsel by Gitobu Imanyara. I do not mourn Pheroze Nowrojee as a colleague. Though he was that, I mourn him as an elder brother in the struggle, a teacher, a mentor, and as a fellow traveler in the long, hard journey toward a just and democratic Kenya. His passing is not just personal. It feels like the slow closing of a chapter we began writing together and forged in defiance. Lit by principle and sustained by stubborn hope in this country's better self. There was a certain stillness about Pheroze. He did not speak to fill rooms. He spoke only when there was something worth saying. And when he did, his words always carried weight. Not the weight of grandstanding or spectacle, but the quieter authority of someone who knew deeply what he stood for and what he would never stand for. We first found each other not in a boardroom or courtroom, but on the front lines of dissent. The 1980s and the 1990s were not safe decades for people who believed in constitutionalism, but they were clarifying times. Those of us who dared speak against detention without trial, torture, censorship, and one-party rule were marked men. Pheroze never flinched. He stood firm in the face of that repression, not because he courted danger, but because his moral compass simply would not allow him to look away. There is a reason he was the advocate of choice for political prisoners. He defended the voiceless without a press conference, without fanfare. I saw him take on cases no one else would touch. I saw him sit with families in grief and rage and listen, truly listen, as though the whole system hadn't conspired to deafen itself to their pain. I saw him use the law not as a shield for the powerful, but as a sword for the powerless. Pheroze understood that the courtroom was never neutral ground, that to practice law in a country gripped by authoritarianism was in itself a political act, but he was not just a rebel without a file, with a file. He was a jurist of meticulous precision. He knew the Constitution, line by line. He understood precedent better than most judges. Above all, he understood justice, not as abstraction, but as a living thing that either uplifts the people or abandons them. When he published Practicing an Honorable Profession, it was a moment of quiet triumph. That book was not just reflection on law, it was a reckoning with history. In dedicating it to me, to my wife, Florence, and to our 2 sons, Marangu and Motuma, myself. In addition to his family, Pheroze gave us a gift that words failed to fully capture. The dedication was more than a gesture of friendship. It was an affirmation of solidarity forged through fire, and it said, we walked together, and we did not turn back. Florence and I received that dedication with full hearts. We remembered the detentions, the court battles, the whispered meetings, and the police raids. We remembered what it cost, not just for us, but our families. And in that moment, we felt seen. Pheroze had a rare kind of memory, one that honored just names, but sacrifices. He wrote often of those who had been erased from the nation's story. Mau Mau veterans denied dignity. Second liberation heroes detained and tortured. Ordinary citizens silenced by impunity. His writing was not performative nostalgia. It was political resurrection. He insisted that we remember because forgetting would be a second injustice. To the legal profession, let this be a moment of reflection. Pheroze practiced law with a discipline that is fast vanishing. He did not hustle for brief mentions on primetime news. He did not trade ethics for influence. He refused to water down his values, even when it was inconvenient, even when it cost him. He believed that to stand before a judge was to be accountable, not just to the court, but to the people on whose behalf you speak. That is what it means to practice an honorable profession. To his family, I offer the deepest gratitude. You gave Kenya a lion of conscience. We know what it means to carry the quiet burden of sharing someone with the nation. We know the long nights, the public pressures, the silences. But you stood with him, and in doing so, you stood with all of us. As we lay him to rest, we are not burying a man. We are planting a legacy. His words, his example, his integrity will live on in our courts, our classrooms, our movements. Kenya is freer because Pheroze Nowrojee lived. Let us never forget it. Farewell, my brother. Yours was a life of honor, purpose, grace. Walk on in power. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Baranga and Gitobo Imanyara. Please give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Of the departed Pheroze Nowrojee, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to be able to say a few words this afternoon. Pheroze was first and foremost a dear friend. He was a father, a teacher, literally a teacher, having taught me trust accounts at the law school. A mentor, having mentored us through the corridors of justice. He was an extraordinary human being, a person with deep conviction about the rule of law, about fairness and justice. I remember when Pheroze found us at the corridors in the 90s, Imanyara had been detained alongside Mohammed Ibrahim, now a judge of the Supreme Court, and Dr. John Haminwa. We had looked for a precedent and we had filed a habeas corpus application. I was leading the young lawyers who were with me in the corridors. None of us had done such an application. We were lost, trembling, and waiting to be called in. Pheroze comes along and asks, "What do you have?" He knew why we were there. He looked at it and he said, "I will lead you." From there on, he became our teacher in those matters, and he has mentored so many since then. Pheroze kept his fidelity to the law to the end of days. He was the go-to person. There was a time in the 90s during the struggle when a judge wrongfully suspended me from practice after we had been convicted of contempt of court as council members of the Law Society. It is Pheroze who did an application in the Court of Appeal, then the highest court, for me to offset that wrongful injustice, which kept me out of practice for a month. Many, many other times, I've gone back to Pheroze, and so have many, many people in problem. For him, practice was not about making money, it was about justice. The number of cases Pheroze handled, if it was about money, he would be one of the richest lawyers in town. But instead, he was the greatest pro bono lawyer I ever knew. In 2022, after the elections, he was not actively in court, but we went to him once again, asking him to come and lead our team. And he accepted, and he did so. But Pheroze was in court without being in court. I was, and I'm still, with the Law Society of Kenya in the abduction cases. Pheroze would call me with the research he had done, with submissions he had prepared. When I was not available, he would call a mutual friend, Lynn, to bring the documents to me. Eventually, I had to look for a young lawyer who would shuttle between me and him and rush materials to court. It's only after his passing that I'm telling my colleagues that research, those submissions, were from Pheroze. As I went to Uganda for Besige, Pheroze was drafting. He was advising. So he remained loyal and committed to the pursuit of justice beyond his appearance in courts. Pheroze was a friend of everyone. It didn't matter your social standing. And my heart is so warmed to see the social justice centers participating in this, because his last days, he didn't know, but something was urging him. Because I remember before he left for the US, he went to the social justice centers. He went to the museum in Mombasa and to this museum. He sat with me and drafted my evidence affidavit for my case, my reference in Arusha. And we were to meet in the United States in DC to complete the drafting of that affidavit. Instead, I received the news of his passing when I was in the US myself. So we thank God for the time we had with him. And I'll relate just one more thing. There was a dinner in their family home in Nairobi just a week or 2 weeks before he went to the United States. That dinner was hosted by his family, Benaifa to be specific, and those of us who were present, we take it that it wasn't Benaifa's party, it was the farewell for Pheroze. We stayed late, a group of us remained in the house. We stayed late up to 1, laughing, discussing, talking many things about Kenya, the governance and issues that we need to correct, about the human rights movement, and generally having fun. He was at his best, witty, humorous, and we had a fun night. That's the last time I would see him. I consider myself very lucky and honored to have been able to share both serious and light moments with him before he left. Pheroze was one of those human beings who come after a long time. But I am so glad that I see Pheroze in members of his family, not just the physical appearance, but the core traits of Pheroze are not gone. They are with us. We will remember him. Thank you, Vilu. Thank you, Binaifa, Sia, and Elchi. Thank you all, the family, for sharing him with us. Be comforted by the great legacy and rich legacy he has left behind. Pheroze, in his thoughts, will forever be with us. May he rest in peace.
Long live the undying spirit of Pheroze Nowrojee, long live. Long live the undying spirit of Pheroze Nowrojee, long live. Thank you, comrades. Dear comrades and friends, I am Brian Madenge from the Githurai Social Justice Center and the Social Justice Center Working Group. I will say that without doubt, Pheroze Nowrojee has been one of the most inspiring elder comrade that we have had in the course of our struggle. I am so humbled and honored to stand here in this podium because, as proudly as I am to stand on the shoulders of my comrade Pheroze Nowrojee. It is also without doubt that his contributions are deeply engraved in the footprints of our political practice. And it is in these times of political distress that we say silence is betrayal. And as Pheroze Nowrojee urged, we cannot afford to be silent. We cannot afford to be muzzled. As I finish, I will say that Pheroze Nowrojee kept insisting that for the young people, he has not only left a challenge. He has not only left a challenge. He has left a path. He has left a guide for us to follow. So it's not only a challenge; it's a gap. Fast forward is if he has been extinguished, then there arise 1,000 beacons from the spark that is Bo. So I will also invite my comrade Jerry Mwangi, who will give us the tribute as Njoki makes the conclusion. Thanks.
Thank you. Viva comrades, viva. Viva comrades, viva. Long live the spirit of Comrade Pheroze, long live. We are very privileged, together with my comrades, to stand before you. My name is Njeri Mwangi from Mathare Social Justice Center and the Organic Intellectuals Network. I'm here with my comrades from the Social Justice Movement, Nairobi chapter. They can wave. Yeah, and we are really happy to be here because, as Comrade Mother said, on his last days, Comrade Pheroze did spend a lot of time with us. And spending time with us means he left a lot of wisdom with us. Pheroze was a wise man. And also, most of you might say he was also a serious man because you met him in the corridors of justice, the courtrooms. But us, we met him when he was this funny, nice, gentle mentor that we will all miss and live with. In his last memories, we spent a lot of time in Mathare. He took time to come to Mathare, and we could see how much this guy loved social justice. He could share his interactions with former unionists who had gone before us, like Bildad Kagia. He could share his experiences with other legal counsels who are here, who had experienced the 90s, and he could not allow us to witness what had happened in the 90s because he was saying right now the young people have a constitution which they can stand in and do a lot of things. So while standing here, one of the things that we, as the young people and the comrades from the social justice movement, pledge that we will not stand maovu yakiendelea, as our comrades from the Field Marshal Band have said. We will stand strong, we will fight together with the rest of the young people in this country. We will fight together with the Gen Zs of this country, and we will not relent, and we will not betray. As one of his favorite quotes by Wambui Kagia, I'll read it. It says, "Let us not only remember our heroes, it is also important to remember those who betrayed us." And in this room, comrades, we are calling unto everyone, loudly, let us not remember our heroes. But now, with the Gen Z movement, we will also, as Pheroze said, it is very important that we also remember the people who are betraying the struggle of the young people of this country. And if Pheroze was here today, one of the things that he could say, that this is not a Gen Z struggle. It is the struggle for the country, for our beloved country. It is the struggle for us all. So it is important that we unite in all fronts. We saw him being in solidarity with all the people, being in solidarity with the farmers, being in solidarity with the unionists. We saw him even in his, with Bilder's last days. He was together with him and Wambui. We saw him in the courtrooms and also just guiding the young lawyers. So for comrades who are here, it's time, whether old or young, that we unite so that we can fight this cause together on behalf of our great country. We are also calling on everyone who's here to continue the memorization campaign that is ongoing. Pheroze, as Mother said, was so big on facts. Every time he could call us and say, these are the people who have been killed by this regime, and you must make sure you memorize them in every county in this country. So, comrades, we are calling you today to join us memorize the martyrs, the young martyrs who have led the way and have paid a price on behalf of this country. We want you to remember Rex Masai. Please don't forget him. Don't forget the 62 comrades who were killed last year. Don't forget the 31 comrades who were killed on Sabasaba. One of the other things that we will want for everyone here is everywhere you are, don't stop organizing. Don't stop organizing. You're doing this for yourself, you're doing this for your kids, you're doing this for the grandkids who will come after us. So let's do this in honor of Pheroze, and let's honor his memory. Pheroze lives in all of us. Viva, comrades, viva! Long live Pheroze Nowrojee, long live!
Viva, comrades, viva! Viva, comrades, viva! More power to the people, more power! More power to the people, more power! Down with injustice, down! Down with extrajudicial killings, down! Forward with justice, forward! My name is Njoki Gashanja. I convene Githurai Social Justice Center, and I am also a student at KSL, pursuing advocate training, under the advocate training program. Pheroze was a friend, a comrade, and a mentor. And before I read something small that we wrote here, I think the one thing that kept going through my mind as I sat on that seat is that this speaks of the character of Pheroze, because people from Githurai and Mathare are here speaking about the man he was. So that is an honor. I will read. Today, as we gather in memory of Pheroze, we are united by the profound sense of loss and the enduring light of his legacy. Pheroze was more than a friend and comrade. He was a gentle giant whose laughter, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to justice left an imprint far deeper than time should allow. Pheroze held our hands, not just in moments of triumph, but in times of uncertainty. urging us to paint boldly on the canvas of life. His laughter, thunderous, genuine, and childlike, echoed with the weight of years spent fighting for justice, yet always carried a warmth that drew out the best in those around him. Even in his absence, we feel his hand guiding us gently, but firmly. He often reminded us that nothing is more powerful in history than the record. For Pheroze, being on record was not just a legal principle. It was a moral imperative. It meant bearing witness, ensuring that truth and justice endure, and leaving a foundation for future generations to build upon. In these turbulent times, we, the youth of this country, rise to claim our place in history. We take back our country, and his words ring truer than ever. We stand on the shoulders of giants like him, who fought not for fame, but for a dignified, egalitarian future for all. Pheroze's legacy is woven from threads of justice, accountability, and humility. He was a father figure to many of us, gentle yet resolute, whose counsel and intentional records remain a roadmap for those who continue the struggle. His life's work was never in vain. In his last days during his last visit to Kenya, he was very intentional about spending his time with us in our communities. We felt his urgency in passing the mantle. It's almost like he knew he was transitioning and needed to pass his wisdom one more time. We were either on long calls, emails, webinars, planning the next plan of action. Oh, the sting of death. Though his departure is still ungraspable, the mantle he has passed to us is clear. We are called to wear the robe of humility he left behind, to anchor justice in our hearts, and to confront the dragons of impunity and tyranny that now roam our streets with courage and truth. His spirit endures in every act of loyalty, every pursuit of justice, every show of solidarity, and every demand for accountability. Pheroze may have departed from our sight, but never from our hearts. The plans we made now wait for light, a light we will find as we carry forward his mantle, in truth and in loyalty. For the record, we shall keep the fight, both for ourselves and for those who come after us. Rest well, gentle father, dear friend and comrade. Your legacy is our guiding light. Till all are free, we keep the fight for our liberation. For the record, viva, comrades, viva! Viva! Thank you.
Pheroze Nowrojee. The field is not the currency of our land. A fence is not a border to our eye. Hedgerows are not limits. Nothing punctuates the might of this land. Cloud, the curve of the earth, waters moving away. These mark our ages, not by enclosure, but by the freeing of spirit, setting for us the measure of our lives.
I had heard of Pheroze as a law student. His writing is in the East Africa Law Journal at the Parklands campus where I studied. We didn't meet when he had stopped teaching by the time I joined university, but his writing was behind, very sharp, particularly his article with Rembe, which is a review of a book, the East Africa Administrative Law in East Africa. It is a must read. I first met Pheroze in earnest when I joined the Law Society. I worked at the Law Society as Deputy Secretary, then as Secretary for a cumulative 11 years. And I interacted very, very closely with Pheroze during the entire period, starting with when I joined. The society was in the heart of bringing accountability for the Golden Bag scandal, and Pheroze was lead counsel for the society trying to deal with that, and I worked very closely with him on that. Later on, in the following year, 1996, a mega suit landed in our doors. A disgruntled member filed a suit trying to stop the society from engaging, to restrict the society to things that are germane to the practice of law. That suit got us really, really, really worried. We felt that that was a way, finally, for the political establishment to shut the society and stop subscriptions from coming on. And the suit remained with us for the next 5 years. Pheroze was lead counsel with GBM Kariuki. I worked very, very closely with Pheroze defending that suit. And finally, we got, and it was the sagacity in court where it was felt that the political establishment needed to be seen to have won something from that suit, while not winning anything really. That is what ultimately, that is how the suit was settled. And what they got was, they lost the suit with no orders to costs. That is how Pheroze that is the argument that Pheroze presented before court. I don't have time to go into the drama of all the detailed preparations that we did with Pheroze and how I saw his work as an advocate, as a leader in practice. In 1999, Kamau Kuria became the chair of the Law Society, and Pheroze and Kamau and the likes of Kivuda Kibwana, who I know is in the room somewhere, they were, and others, they were very strongly involved in the NCC process, and Kamau Kuria brought that relationship into the Law Society. So I was involved in managing the back end of that relationship. There are people like Cyprian Nyamwamu who are here, who were involved in, as a young man, involved in managing the front end of that relationship. And then in the year, that same year, 1999, Chief Justice Chesoni died. And he died in office. And the Council of the Law Society coincidentally had a courtesy call on the head of the public service, Richard Leakey. We walked across the short distance from Professional Center to Harambee House and did the courtesy call, and the council told him they want this, the next Chief Justice must have these qualities, must not have these qualities. Leakey was a practical man. He said, instead of describing those qualities, give me names. Give me the name of the person that you want to be that Chief Justice. We retreated back to our office and had a long meeting defining criteria, but also trying to identify individuals. Wisely, the council decided that they would compile two lists. A list of who to appoint. The sole member of the list of who to appoint was Pheroze Nowrojee. That was the proposal by the Council of the Law Society in 1999. There was a longer list of who not to appoint. It was very long. It constituted a very large number of the senior judges that were in court at that time. A lot of they have all retired, so we can safely talk about it. So President Moi was in the next room when we went to see Leakey. Leakey said, "I will not guarantee that your choice will be honored. I will guarantee that there will be consideration of your views." So I hand-delivered the letter to Leakey's office, and we felt very nice. The Commonwealth was having a conference in Malaysia. I boarded the plane. We went to Malaysia, where I met this long list of judges attending the same conference. While we were in Malaysia, news came through that a new Chief Justice had been appointed in Kenya from neither list. So that is how Pheroze Nowrojee missed out appointment as Chief Justice of Kenya. But Pheroze Nowrojee, we know that he was a choice later of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga as Chief Justice when the new constitution came into force. There was only one problem. By then, Pheroze Nowrojee was of age for appointment of Chief Justice. All this to make this point, that Pheroze has had the highest consideration of his professional colleagues all his life. They've thought well about him. To have always thought that he was deserving of serving in the highest